Hello everybody! In this video project, I will be presenting on pollution in the Philippines. So I will start by saying that the Philippines remains a lower middle income economy in the World Bank's updated data for 2020, with a GNI per capita of $3,850. This value is $196 short of the $4,046 GNI per capita needed to breach the upper middle income bracket. To more accurately summarize the development problem in the Philippines, I'd like to outline a few more things about the country. So, back in 2015, 1/5 of the Philippines' population lived below the poverty line. The poorest populations lived and continue to live in natural disaster-heavy areas in much higher concentration than does the wealthier population. There are not enough quality jobs available that would allow impoverished citizens to improve their level of well-being in a significant way. And there remains a lack of investment in education and other necessary institutions and systems, though that is improving. These are the largest reasons for inequality in income and assets, with the addition of unmanaged population growth, which extends the cycle of poverty from generation to generation. Lastly, there has been insufficient research on poverty and policies, which has made a number of their poverty programs inefficient and unsuccessful. But the aspect of poverty I really wanted to talk about today was pollution. There are two sides of pollution that I wanted to talk about primarily. The first being the lack of government institutions and systems that should exist to properly dispose of human waste, and number two, being the effects of the extraction industry on the environment. This presentation also seeks to show how poverty and poor sanitation augment each other in a cyclical system. So, we begin with the problem of the Philippines' waste disposal system. Poor sanitation increases mortality rates and creates health problems that are not only very expensive, but may also lead to chronic disabilities for life. It compounds the country's poverty problem. In turn, poverty in the Philippines actually adds to the sanitation problem due to a major garbage system failure. The Philippines are divided into communities, or districts known as barangays. Rather than having a nationalized human waste disposal method, the responsibility falls on the barangays to collect and properly dispose of waste however they see fit. Consequently, poor communities often lack functioning disposal systems due to an absence of funding, information, and any overarching institutions to guide the process. In addition to this, on the topic of the country's sewage system, a Vice News article from 2015 states that only 10% of the country's population has access to piped sewage systems, and that 1 in 10 Filipinos defecate in open places or in trash bags, which, for some reference, is still lower than the international average of 1 in 7 people. These problems multiply off each other, creating major health and environmental problems, as I said towards the beginning of this slide. Moving on to the extraction industry in the Philippines is another major contributor to the nation's pollution problem, ruining landscapes and rivers with heavy metals. However, this one is a more complicated fix. The Philippines is a big exporter of nickel ore and coal, and correspondingly, a big source of employment for much of the Philippines' population. Shutting down mines while improving on the pollution problem may in turn lead to a spike in unemployment, a potential disaster for the economy. The government has estimated that 234,000 jobs could be lost and that it could directly and indirectly impact as many as 1.2 million people. Easing the nation into other industries through job creation policies and investing in the creation of more environmentally friendly replacement industries is necessary in order to balance out unemployment and the need for mineral materials. So what progress has been made? In waste disposal, currently, the Philippines aims to achieve universal access to safe and adequate toilets by 2028, and villages on a local level have begun declaring themselves zero open defecation zones. On the topic of the garbage system, however, the central government has failed to step up, saying that it has done all it can and that the rest is up to local governments and the people. However, environmental advocates disagree, saying the government could certainly do more, such as pressuring multinational corporations to change their products. Laws have been passed with the intention of improving landfill space. They have failed to make a significant impact. Citizens have filed complaints against local politicians citing a failure to orchestrate disposal, yet this hasn't provided adequate improvement either. The progress made on industrial pollution is more positive. In 2017, Gina Lopez, the acting Secretary of the Environment, said she was shutting down the operations of 28 of the country's 41 mining companies. Those companies had been accused of leaving rivers, rice fields, and watersheds stained red with nickel laterite. She also issued an order banning open-pit mines. The EITI has since recognized the country's satisfactory progress towards transparency and higher standards of cleanliness in the industry, though it isn't by any means perfect. Another important policy is one that I include due to its creative manipulation of funds to potentially help solve both the extraction industry problem and the waste disposal problem. It created a system that aids in the allocation of revenue to local governments by transferring shares from the extractive industry to local units. And that is the end of my presentation. While I tried to highlight the two issues I interpreted as being the largest, I recognize that the Philippines pollution problem is undoubtedly more complex than what I have covered here. Thank you for watching.